Okay, so I guess we'll start now. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's safe at home, and I hope you enjoyed day one that was conducted by ISA Manipal yesterday. My name is Nihal Sharma, and I'm the Vice Chairperson of IEEE RAS Manipal. And in today's session, we'll be covering day two of the analog electronics workshop using LT Spice. Coming to the timeline of the workshop, we'll be showing demonstrations of the circuits and components that you learned about yesterday in day one on LT Spice, which is a free software for analog electronics. And we'll also conclude with a project on making an analog electronics accelerometer. The speakers for today's workshop are Dhruva Bhatt and Abhishek Shaw. They are third year students of the EEE and ECE department and are also members of the electronics subsystem at IEEE RS Manipal. So without ado, I'll leave it to them. Dhruva, Abhishek.
Hello, guys. I welcome all of you to this workshop, and I'll be the first speaker and will be showing a couple of stuff to you all. Okay, let me just share my screen. Okay, so LT Spice, also known as Linear Technology Simulation Program with Integrated Circuit Emphasis. So this is the LT Spice. So I hope all of you have installed the software. And when you open this is what you see on the screen. So if anybody knows what exactly this image is, please let me know. I don't really know as well. Okay, so let's get started with this. So you guys might ask me, why do we use LT Spice and not MATLAB? So all of us know that MATLAB is a pretty superior software. So the reason is MATLAB is really, really huge. It'll take around 10 to 30 GB of your space. And LT Spice is way lighter on your computer, and it's also free, and it's very simple to use as well. So let me just go through quickly on how to get started with LT Spice. So this is what you can see, and these are the functions at the top. So I mean, you can click on, if you want to choose some components, there is an option called component, and then you can click on whatever you want to. Like there's resistor to diode to operational amplifiers to transistors to anything you want. So this Zener diode. I'm just showing you on how you can select stuff in here. So, uh, so I would advise you with a couple of shortcuts. So what you can do is click on C on your keyboard and capacitor appears here. And if you want to rotate it, you can just press on Control R and it gets rotated. Let's click on V right now, and then you get voltage source. And if you want ground, click on G. If you want inductor, L, and so on. So you can press on cut if you want to cut something, any component in here. Since Control Z does not work, you have to use cut. And this is the wire. You can connect stuff in here. And if you want to label something, I'll show you what this is used later on. Click on label the net name here, and then give a label name. So you can manually click on resistor, capacitor, and inductor here as well. And this is used to move stuff. You can move anything. And you can just extend stuff in here to adjust your circuit if you want to. And if there are any component which are not available in the component list, you can download a LTSpice suitable component and then install in a particular folder and link it to this one. It's called .op, so it's pretty straightforward as well. You can look it up on the internet, and I'll show you more on how to simulate and run stuff and change a couple of stuff later on. So now Abhishri will be explaining on how to use diodes in the circuit and simulate a couple of stuff. Abhishri, you can go ahead.
Hello, good morning. I hope you're all having a nice day. So starting off, I'll be demonstrating few circuits that will help us understand how to use a simulation software like LT Spice to simulate our analog designs. So a very basic component, which is very common in most of the electronic circuits, is a diode. So we'll start off with the diode. Basically, it is a PN junction and is a two-terminal device, which can be used in forward biased mode or reverse biased mode. So when it is used in the forward biased mode, the diode acts as a short circuit. Thus, the current has a path to flow in the circuit. So this will represent the on state of the switch. Whereas when the diode is used in the reverse bias zone, the diode will act as an open circuit. So in the circuit, the current won't have a complete path to flow. So now what we see is that the diode will act as the off state of the switch. So here is the circuit design of the diode as a switch, wherein you can simulate the circuit. In the edit simulation command, we use the DC sweep. So we'll be varying the voltage values for our voltage source, which is V1. So I have chosen values from -10 to 10 so that I can show you the working of the diode as both as the off and the on state. And you can choose your values accordingly. I've chosen increment value of 2. Now when we run the command, just a minute. Yeah. So the output will be taken here. And now we can analyze from the graph when the diode is in the reverse bias zone, we get a 0 volt, which is the off state. And as and when the voltage is increased across the diode in the forward bias region, the voltage across the load is also increasing. Now, next application, important application of a diode is a Zener diode. So Zener diode is basically a heavily doped diode, which acts just as a normal diode when it is used in the forward bias region. But when a Zener diode is used in the reverse bias region, on the Zener voltage point, the current increases drastically without any change in the voltage. So what we can do is we can use Zener diode in circuits for voltage regulation. Now let's say you have a load in the circuit, which is R2 for us in the given circuit. So now when we want to maintain a particular voltage level across R2, we can use Zener diode in the reversed biased mode. So what will happen is if there's any excess current which is flowing in the circuit, it will pass through D1 diode branch so that a constant voltage is maintained across R2. So as you can see, Zener diode is a 12 volt regulator here. Again, we'll be doing a DC sweep analysis. Source is V1. We'll do a linear sweep. Start value is -10 to 0 and increment of 3 is done for simulation purposes. So just a minute. Yeah. So now this is the load. So output will be measured here. So now we can see a constant voltage is maintained here till the Zener diode is biased on the Zener voltage point. After that, as and when it goes to the forward biased mode, it acts just as the normal diode. Now next we have the demonstration of op-amp circuits, which will be taken up by Dhruva.
So hi guys, welcome back. Okay, so yesterday our colleagues had talked about operational amplifiers and its uses and different configurations. So today I'll be showing you all the basic sockets and how they operate and how they're used in real life. So this is a circuit of an integrator. So operational amplifiers are made using transistors, and this is the circuit of integrator. So let me just show you how it works first. Okay, this is the zoom in feature where you can zoom in to the graph, the output and input waveforms. And yeah, so okay, so how this works is in the integrator, the Vin gets integrated. That's the input voltage waveform gets integrated, and you get the output. So its basic applications include analog to digital converters, and it's also used in wave shaping. So it was discussed yesterday that V out equals -1 by R1 CF into integral of V in of t dt. So what this means is, yeah, so I'm giving a square waveform as the input. To generate a square waveform, you can give the V initial. That means that the point at which uh, the input waveform is. Like you can see here that once again, yeah, it starts at -5 volt and goes all the way till 5. So here the V initial I've given it as -5, and V on is the upper voltage. So it goes from -5 to 5. You can give whatever value you want to. And let's not touch anything like T delay, T rise, and T fall. And so you know that a square wave has a 50% duty cycle. That means that it's on for 50% of the time and it's off for the next 50%. So that's what I've given it here. T on is 50 mu. You can give anything according to your will. And T period will be twice. So because as I told you, the duty cycle is 50%. That is T on by T on plus T off. And now the output waveform will be a triangular wave. Okay, so as you can see it here. One second. Yeah. So let me show you how a differentiator works in a couple of minutes. So how do you calculate these values and what are these? So these are the V saturation. That's an operational amplifier has plus VCC and minus VCC. So this is like a standard way of connecting it here. So you can just we'll be sharing all the files with you and you can run it on your computer later. So okay, so the way you calculate RF, CF, and R1 is, so we basically operate an integrator in a certain frequency band. Let's say we're operating it at 100 hertz to 10 kilohertz. So the formula given is FA equals 1 by 2 pi RF CF. So we know frequency and we know the value of capacitor. So how we know the value of capacitor is, so generally we have wide variety of resistor values. So we usually consider a value of capacitor like the value of available capacitor with us and find the value of RF. So I've considered 0.01 microfarad, the value of the capacitor as 0.01 mu, and uh, and then I've calculated the value of resistance accordingly. And you can calculate the value of R1 similarly. So you can see a bit of distortion. That's because of the value of capacitor. You can just ignore it. If you use a better, like the more efficient one, you don't really get get any distortion. It will be pretty clear. So that's all for integrator. If you guys have any question, you can let me know. I'll go ahead with differentiator. Once again, all this file will be shared with you all, and you can run it on your computer. And yeah, you can run it on your computer. Okay, so this is the circuit for a differentiator. So it works exactly the opposite of integrator. I'll just show you in a minute. So it's basically used in wave shaping, and it's widely used for detecting any change in frequency in a circuit. So the V out is given by minus RF into C into C1 uh, into dV in by dt. And similarly, it's basically operated in a certain frequency band, and you can calculate the value of RF and CF accordingly with formula of FA equals 1 by 2 pi into RF into CF, and FB equals 1 by 2 pi into R1 into C1. Also, we'll be sharing the doc with you, which has all the formulas and everything. So yeah, let me just run and show the waveforms. So here I've taken a triangular waveform, and the output will be. Anybody want to guess the output? It's exactly the opposite of the integrator. So if you integrate a triangular wave, you will get a square wave. So yeah, as you can see it here. In the integrator, we had got opposite of this. So let me show you how you get a triangular wave here. How to generate a triangular wave. So you give a V initial that is -1. Okay, you can give 1. It's starting at 1. So V initial is 1, and it goes all the way till -1, and there's no delay. So the T rise is so basically the difference is like the T rise and T fall. So we want the waveform to fall and rise since we don't need a uh, constant signal. And the T period is I've taken 2. You can see the difference here. It's 2, and that's how we generate a triangular wave. You can generate sine as well. You can generate cos. So that's how you get the output waveform for a differentiator. If you guys have any doubt, I can clear it out. Or I'll move ahead with low pass filter. Okay, I'm assuming it's all clear. Let me go ahead with low pass filter. So I'll be showing you all first order low pass filter. So the general applications are it's used in audio applications, it removes noise, it's used in digital to analog converters, it's used in loudspeakers. Basically, it has a lot of applications. So what a low pass filter does is it only passes the frequency which are lower than the cutoff frequency. So there's a cutoff frequency, and all the signal which has a frequency under that particular cutoff frequency is being passed. So uh, yeah, so basically we calculate the value of RF, R1, and R2 using the basic equation, that is 1 plus RF by R1 into V input gives V output. That is, yes, we had discussed yesterday that the so basically we get the gain, that is V out by V in, and we can calculate the value of RF and R1 accordingly. It's pretty straightforward. So what we do here is, let me just run it and show it to you. Yeah, so you can see the cutoff frequency here, and all the signal under this cutoff frequency is getting passed. And also we'll have we specify the cutoff frequency. With the help of the cutoff frequency, we calculate the value of R2 as well. So similarly, we can design a second order low pass filter, a second order high pass filter, first order high pass filter, and so on. The higher the order, the more the components required. Yeah, you can generate a sine wave using the function called sine here with an amplitude, and that's all. And you get a sine wave. So let me go ahead with the last circuit here, that is the Schmidt trigger. Okay, so a Schmidt trigger is nothing but a comparator with a hysteresis. So what a comparator does is it compares the two input voltages, and we get the amplified version of the output. So the problem with comparator is if the inputs are distorted, the output gets distorted again. So that's a pretty big problem. So in Schmidt trigger, we can set something called as the upper threshold and the lower threshold. So it operates in that particular band, and it's pretty the distortion is pretty less when compared to that of a comparator, since there are two bands. So you can calculate the value of so you can calculate, so we specify a upper threshold and a lower threshold, and hence calculate the values accordingly. Basically backtrack to get all the values required. So the uses of Schmidt trigger is you can generate square wave, triangular wave, sawtooth waveform, and it's mainly used for signal conditioning. So I'm giving a sine wave here. When you compare it with Vref, you get a square wave. So how it works is the signal basically clips when the sine wave basically clips when you compare it with V reference. So yeah, I'm giving amplitude as 10. Frequency, that's the standard operating frequency here in India. That's 50 hertz. I've just taken that as the frequency here, and yep, that's how you get a square waveform. If you have any doubt in any of the four circuits, please let me know. I'll clear it out right now. If not, then we'll go ahead with a project that's on accelerometer. Abhishri, I think you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So now we'll move on to the last segment of our workshop on analog electronics. So as our project, we have chosen the design of an accelerometer based on an op-amp. Since accelerometer is a device which is very widely and commonly used, and you guys will be starting working on Arduino projects and other microcontrollers and boards. So accelerometer is something which you'll hear quite a few times. Accelerometer is basically an electromechanical device that is used to measure accelerative forces, and it finds its application in multiple disciplines, like devices like laptops, mobile phones, even in cars. Then it also finds its application in fault sensing, earthquake sensors. Then there are sportswear wearables. So it has quite a lot of applications. I'll just share my screen. So we've chosen a capacitive accelerometer, which is also known as a vibration sensor. So our design is based on the op-amp, which is LTC6081. So right now on your screens, you can see the data sheet of the op-amp. So the basic and the main application of this op-amp is a shock sensor amplifier. So we'll be sticking to this design of a capacitive accelerometer for our workshop, and the calculations of these values are beyond the scope of our workshop. So the working of capacitive accelerometer is such that it will rely on the change in the electrical capacitance in response to acceleration. So what happens is basically the distance between the plates of the capacitor will vary proportionally to the acceleration which is applied. Thus, that will alter the capacitance. So, to implement this in a LT spice, we finally deliver a voltage signal which will be an AC signal that will be proportional to the acceleration which the device will be sensing. Also, there are questions when to use an accelerometer and when a gyroscope. So, accelerometer basically finds its application in areas where linear acceleration has to be measured. Whereas, what gyroscope does is it measures the rate of rotation and the angular position around a particular axis. So together, an accelerometer and a gyroscope helps a device or a system like drone attain a proper orientation and stability. So I think now we can move on with the basic understanding. We can move on to the design of the accelerometer. So I'll be making the accelerometer step by step, and you guys can follow on your respective LT Spice software. Files will also be provided, so if there is doubt anywhere, you can ask or just follow the file. So starting off with the design, we'll be using a voltage source. So we'll go to the component library, find the voltage source, label it as an AC source. Next, we'll choose the op amp, which is LTC6081. Next, we'll be putting resistors and capacitors in our network. You can just drag the object since it's getting a bit clumsy here. Moving on to the capacitors. So, firstly, I'll explain a bit as to what the design really is. So basically, there's a capacitive piezoelectric element which provides a charge under physical acceleration. Uh, so that charge is converted to a voltage. So for the implementation on LT Spice, what we are doing is we are providing a AC signal here that is basically the point after the capacitive piezoelectric element is converting the change into a voltage. So this input will now go to the high impedance network of the given design, which will be this complete circuit, which will help us filter the input and give us the required acceleration. So now we'll just look into the design again and make the connections. There are two voltage sources which will be the saturation voltages that I'm placing here right now. So now we'll wire up all the components. Now this network will go to the inverting terminal of the op amp. And this is the point where we'll be taking the output. Now, another important step of any circuit design is grounding of the components. Every component should have a common ground. So now whichever node is left floating, we'll be grounding all of them, like the voltages, the resistors, and the capacitor. There will be two more grounds, one here. So the saturation values I'm providing for our design is plus and minus 5. This has been done. Now moving on to the resistor and capacitor values. We'll just refer the data sheet. So as we can see, it's 10K and 47P. This value is 1 mega. This capacitor is 8.2. These resistors are 2 mega and capacitors are 3.9 PF respectively. So these being 3.9. This resistor is supposed to be 1. I think all the components are done. Yes. So now we'll move on to the labeling part. Since this saturation values have to be labeled as B plus. It will basically form a connection between V2 and the V plus of the op amp. And next we go to V minus, which will be the negative saturation value for a op amp. We'll go through the design once and just check. Yeah. So this sensor has a bandwidth of 2.2 kilohertz and an output voltage value of 109 megavolt per grams. So now we move on to the simulation command to set the settings for analysis of a graph. So we'll be doing AC analysis. Type of sweep, this time we'll be choosing octave. number of points can vary. I'll be choosing 10. Starting frequency, let's say 10 megahertz. Let's say 10 to 1 megahertz. This seems to be fine. So if anyone has any doubt related to any of the components or have not been able to follow, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll move on to the simulation part and analysis of the graph for the given design. Okay, I suppose I'll show the simulation. So this is the point where we want to take the output. So this is the graph we expect for this design. So basically, the dark green line that you can see is the value of the gain which we are attaining here. So there's mathematical formulas that help you find the acceleration value. Firstly, the voltage value with the help of this gain value, and then using those formulas, you can convert the voltage value to the acceleration value. So this graph helps us find that. And then there's this light green dotted line that you can see here, this pattern. So this is basically the phase response of the given input. Since we've used an AC signal, it will have both a magnitude and as well as a phase. So this is the magnitude response and the light dotted line is the phase response of the design. That's it I have for the accelerometer. I hope you all found it interesting. If there are any doubts related to this or the whole workshop, you can let us know right now.
If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself or you could put in the chat or in the WhatsApp group.
So yeah, hi. I had a doubt. So what else can be done using LT Spice apart from simulating analog circuits?
Dhruva, Abhishri?
Yeah, so basically LT Spice is a simulation software. So what you can do is you, you can design several circuits on it and then use like you can have you can have some values missing. So basically what you can do is you can analyze the characteristic of several components or how they work based on the graph. So basically those all simulations and all help you analyze the design, or you can change the values of certain components of the design and then see how they work. So yeah, basically LT Spice you use to implement your circuit designs and view their characteristic. So yeah, that's all you do with LT Spice. Any other questions?
Okay, I'm assuming no one has enough questions now. So with that, we'll end the workshop. I hope that you've had a good time these past 2 days and have gained more experience or insight into this field of analog electronics. It's a very interesting field, and I hope that once you get more into it, for those who are interested, you'll be able to find something worthwhile. Coming now that we officially ended, I would like to thank IISc Manipal on behalf of IEEE RAS Manipal for their collaboration in this workshop, and I would also like to thank all the resource persons and also you attendees for participating and making this workshop a success. Coming to the resources that we'll be providing, as I mentioned before, the LT Spice files that we demonstrated during this workshop are available in the group description of the WhatsApp group. So you can download those files, keep them with you, so you can work with the various files that we showed in the workshop. The recordings for both sessions will be up on the YouTube channels of both our clubs in within the week. So you can follow us on our social media and YouTube channels for that. The as was mentioned, we will also be providing a document with more detailed information on whatever was discussed in the workshop so far, so that if anyone's interested in digging more into this field, you can have a ready starter material to start off with. And if that with that said, we'll end for today. Thank you everyone for coming and have a good day.